Well, hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the beautiful world. I hope you're having a very nice Thursday. Gosh, this week has gone absolutely crazy. And hello to everybody in our chats again. Nice to see the usual suspects here. And I want to just say welcome and hello to Darren from Australia. Hey, Darren, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, also good, thank you. Nice to have you on Aquarius Rising Africa. As I always say, Australia is one of the places I think that has been probably the biggest surprise for me when it comes to dodgy doings.
hmm
Yeah, and I mean,
I
I
think
think
it's the biggest surprise for the whole world. I think, to be honest,
yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I know. Hi, Linda, another Australian, I do believe, in the chat. So, yeah, really good to have you here. So, I'd be interested to, I mean, I know you've also have your story to tell in terms of your experiences in this world and as a kid. And yeah, so I'm going to maybe go over to you and just ask you to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And
Okay. All right. I've never really done an interview about my life before, so bear with me. Right. So I was born and bred in Perth, Western Australia. I'm 53, 54 in December. Um, Fortunately, I don't look my age in general, but I feel every bit of it. um, So it's been quite a ride. That's all I can say. Like it's I've just been strapped into someone else's roller coaster and off it's gone. That's seems to be what's been happening. And it's taken me my whole life to figure it out with no help from anyone. And that's fine. I'm actually rather grateful about that because I don't owe anybody anything to for any answers that I've been given. So, like this has all just been through my own hard experiences, and which I'm really grateful for now. Like I was furious with God, furious, but I never like blamed him. I just was going to have it out with him when I saw him. I was like, "Hey, you," but no, he was trying to teach me something. That's for sure, right? And
absolutely.
now I've gotten to the bottom of it. Those lessons are just wow, synchronicity, man. Far
Yeah.
out.
I always say, when we look at, situations like yours and what have you, I think firstly, I would be surprised if anyone didn't spend a time being angry with God, definitely.
Mm. Well, that
Because,
seemed to be part of the plan.
yeah,
That
exactly.
seemed to be very much part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that, I mean, that's so true what you're saying, because the abuse um, that's involved with children, it's always interlinked with some type of religion, right?
Yeah,
And some
yeah.
type of religious figures or entities, whatever. I mean, whatever your religion is. I know poor Jesus has really come to the brunt of this when it comes to SRA and any type of ritual abuse, because that really, really is hectic on the Christian faith, especially, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's fascinating because I do, it's exactly true what you say. The whole intention is to make you so angry with God or your creator or whatever it is, because that then takes away your entire identity of who
Yeah.
made me and why, and am I not worthy of more? Why would you allow this to happen to me? It puts you in a massive state of
Mm.
victimhood, doesn't it? And the minute you feel like a victim, you then feel like you are less than, less powerful, less important, less special, whatever it is, less than in everything. and then you kind of like bow down to those who you are deemed are more powerful than you. What do you say to that?
Well, yeah, I can see how that's in general how people would think, except for that's not what happened to me.
Yeah.
I always had this little voice in my head just saying there's something more to everything. And
Right.
I always believed in myself. I just had self-belief. I don't know where it comes from, like God knows I needed it, right? So, and I knew my artistic abilities. Like I was put in special art classes. Like I could mix paints without ever being shown how to do it. I just know mix that color with that color to get that color, and I can
Right.
do anything. And my ability is sickening to the point where I knew that, hang on, if I got this talent, there's no way in hell that people are treating me like this for because I'm useless. Like I just knew that, and I put that away and thought, nah, fuck you. Like, sorry, I'm here to spite you, not because of you. No, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. That was my thought pattern. Like I just
And I
knew
think
there's something.
it's probably why you were targeted as well, because I find as
Yeah.
well that with many of the very strong souls, because obviously the intention is to turn you, and it's to turn you to work in the dark, because I don't believe any child is really born. I mean, we are all created by God. And I don't believe any child, well, it depends on whether you're a homunculus, whatever, but that's a whole story for a different day. But I don't believe any child that is created via the womb in its mother is authentically or naturally
Evil.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Because,
Except for
yeah.
there was something very strange that happened when I got home from the hospital. I wasn't home 20 minutes. My brother tried to kill me. He put a pillow.
Be interesting. Isn't
He
that
put a pillow
interesting?
on my.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
how old was he, if I can ask you, when you came home?
He was 3. He was just turned 3. So he put a pillow on my face and sat on me and tried to suffocate me.
Wow.
Then I find
What
out,
did he
the
say?
meaning
I
of.
mean, when he was asked why he did that, what did he say?
Well, he's only a little kid. I don't think he would have known, but I think he would have been possessed to do that, because that's pretty, that's pretty full on.
So already there was type of possession and satanic stuff going on. So
well,
maybe
yeah.
you can just take us to your parents. Who are your parents? What were they doing? What were they involved in, etc. So you
Well,
can just paint
my dad had just gotten out of the army just before I was born, so he would have been in the Air Force. We were living in Melbourne. I asked my mum a couple of weeks ago very specifically, was I conceived when Dad was in the Air Force? And she said no, but I don't believe that for a second, because she went on to defend him and all this sort of stuff. And that's so unusual that I know she's lying, right? I just know it. So I don't believe a word that she says, basically. She's my mother. I love her as a mother, but she is no mother, right? But she's just little hints like that say way more than what they ever realize. It's not what people say, it's what they don't say and what they try to say usually. That's the crucial point, especially when they don't say something, when there's really troubling shit going on. And and that's a consistent theme that sort of got my attention as I was growing up, how everyone's just blind to this talented child in the family that's just been left for the wolves to have, basically. And I'm sitting there scratching my head going, what in the fuck is going on here? I'm thinking, like, hello, I'm in a special art class, but I didn't think I was special. I thought everyone had a special art class, it wasn't, I didn't think anything of it, but I realized that they've been scared of me my whole life. That's for sure. That's really for sure. And yeah, they've just everything they could do to make sure I felt worthless and less than, and whatever abuse did happen. Fortunately, I can't remember it. Like, I mean, I do remember like when the church abuse started and all that. But I don't remember the abuse earlier on, because I now know it. I'm certain that it was started since I was a baby. Yeah, because of the other things that I've already spoken to you about, that I've seen related to where I'm living and all that sort of stuff. Sort of says a hell of a lot to me, because it's a program. They're involved in some sick program, you know, German breeding program for sure.
Are you
But
from
like,
is your bloodline German?
my nana, her father was a Hahn, her mother Hannah Solomon.
All right.
And that's the Jewish line. And then her mother was I think her mother was Hannah Solomon as well. Hannah C.B. Solomon. I'm not sure who had the middle name C.B. It might have been Hannah Solomon. It might have been C.B. And her mother had a different name. But that goes back to the channelers in ancient Israel days for King Solomon and stuff. That's how far that goes back. And I haven't had a chance to look at my heritage then, but my mum, I asked my mum, does my heritage go way back? And we all know the Mormons do what? Genealogy, right? And
right. So your mum's a Mormon. Is your mum a Mormon?
Oh yeah.
Right.
She's in the church, like temple, all that crap, right? You can imagine, yeah. And I know that she's involved up to her eyeballs. She won't tell me. You know, there's no way in hell that she's going to be honest about everything. It's not going to happen. But that's fine. I don't need her to say anything, because, you know, when someone comes up to you and says to you, "Oh, your son's a heroin addict, and your son is 14 years old," what do? Nothing. Do you take your kid to the doctor? Maybe. Do you sit down and ask them? Who cares what they say? You take them to the doctors and you get them tested. You make sure, right? You want to make damn sure that your kid's not on heroin, right? That's what you do as a parent. No, that didn't happen.
Are you saying you were on heroin? Were you on heroin when you were 14?
No. They were trying to put me
on heroin
by the person who molested me. Yeah, he was a Mormon. Yeah, they were building a narrative to cover up their bullshit. That's what they were doing, right? Because my mother didn't question it. She just started treating me like a junkie, and I was not on drugs, right, at that age. I'd smoke a little bit of pot, but that was it. And they were trying to put me, like when I was at my nana's house and that, I used to sell papers at 10 with my brother, and my brother was introducing me to some very, very seedy people. Now I know why, because he was all involved. He was trying to get me hooked on drugs, and because I got away from the pedophile network from my stepmom. Because if I had chose to live with my stepmom, what happened to my brother would have happened to me.
Hang on, I just want to I want to just back up a little bit here. Stepmom. Yep. So when did your stepmom come into the picture? Because you were born of your biological parents, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
So stepmom would have been your father's new wife. Did your parents get divorced?
Yeah, they broke up when I was about 6. And my dad used to work at the Skate World Osborne Park roller skating place with my uncle. But there were a few different roller skating centres of that name around Perth, and they used to manage all of them on and off. Now, those times, like, my family were more coherent. Like, we'd see our cousins and all that sort of stuff. And in those days, they didn't have the internet, so pedophiles would have to hang out where kids would be, wouldn't they? But my family were pedophiles, quite obviously, right? Like, I don't blame them per se, because this is an old system. I would say this system goes back from the days of Canaan, Babylon. Yeah, that's how ancient this is. This has been in our society consistently with the one world government since then, right? Feeding the kids to the sacrifice table and just propagating what they've been planning for all this time. Like, this is what I see, yeah? And so when they got divorced, my dad started seeing this new witch, Joanne Patricia Adams, her name is, and well, Joanne Patricia Smith it was. Anyway, I had met her at skating, and we finally went to her house and met her. She lived in Innaloo, and I go there to meet her with my brother. My brother's 3 years older than me. I'm not even 7, maybe just turned 7. And hi Joanne, blah blah blah. Oh, would you like some ice cream, boys? And she goes off to get us some ice cream. And I've just seen my whole life flash before my eyes. Like, I turned to my brother and just said, Gary, Dad marries her, we're fucked. But I didn't realize that my dad was fully involved, because he was just hiding everything. Like, my dad, my whole family are narcissists, like, clearly, and they just, once they realized that I was the target, they just hid everything. And it was all bullshit. And like, if I didn't have this gift, I wouldn't know a thing. I'd be dead. I wouldn't be talking to you, right? For sure. And so when it came time to, no, I never said to my dad that she's evil or anything like this. I knew better. Somehow, I knew not to mention it to him. It was really strange, because I usually would.
Did she specifically target your father?
I was thinking that, like, early on. No, I think they were in cahoots the whole time. I think they'd planned to get my mum, because she was very beautiful, my mum. Very pretty woman, right? And everything had been arranged. They liked the look between, dark and white. And my brother looks nothing like me. Okay. I couldn't convince you he was my brother if I tried. And so she very specifically chose me, and I know now that she was connected to Jeannie Grant, the heroin boss of Australia, and that whole world, right? Now, not all of that world's involved, just elements of it, right? And my family are police too, right? My oldest uncle, Norm Adams, first class senior sergeant, retired. His son, Brad and Stephen, they were segregated from the family. They just were like, I knew who they were, but we never saw them. I never met his kids, my cousin's kids. They just disappeared. Now I know why, because they were cops too, and so were his kids. They were using that side of the family to fuck with me. Right? Even
you say
like
kids
my whole
were
life.
disappearing. What do you mean? Where were the kids disappearing to?
I mean, they disappeared in the fact they weren't part of the family unit and wouldn't socialize in Christmas events and all that. So we didn't know them, right? But my uncle Bill, he's the second oldest. He's looks more Indian like me. He was treated horrifically because he had a bit too much tar brush, and my grandfather was blonde hair, blue eyes, and thought he was bloody King Arthur or some shit,
So are you talking about your paternal grandfather that had the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and your maternal side was Indian?
My nana's side was Indian and German. My grandfather's side was English and Scottish and Irish, I think. I'm not 100% sure, because I haven't had the chance to go deep down. I just know to look at what's poignant, which has been the Indian side and the German side, because that's where all the deep heritage comes from. Well, not all, but because the Brady side of my grandfather's, that's the Irish side, which is connected to all the weird Irish coppers that are targeting me, right? Crazy. I woke up one morning in the Twilight Zone, man. Like, it's just bonkers. And like like I sent that picture yesterday. I had to go to court, and the cops come in yesterday. Like it's all related, going way back. You know, like, and I've had to figure this all out by myself with no direct. Stop it, girl. Oh, cut it out. No more licking. Sorry. And so it's been really hard to know what's happening, and I didn't want to just dive head down into one rabbit hole. You know, like, because I know. I didn't want it to be that rabbit hole from hell, you know, but it turned out to be the rabbit hole from hell, you know. But, you know, I'm still to this day piecing all these little bits together, you know, like when we first talked, I immediately went to some of your videos and had a look at, you know, the family crest stuff. And then okay, I've got to look at my German side. And the first thing that pops up is House of Solomon.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because obviously, I mean, that Solomonic side is very important in the system, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's a powerful lineage, that. So
I got Hannah. So Hannah Solomon marries Hukum Chandra. Now Chandra is not an Indian name. It's not even a Muslim name. It's from Genghis Khan's lineage. It's Mongolian for Khan.
So you got a bit of Genghis in you as well.
Mm-hmm. Sort of explains why I've been through the shit, right?
Yeah.
Far out, you know. And then I'm thinking,
amazing, you know, when you sit here and you hear these things, and then you can see how, as you say, you yourself have been left to put the pieces together. And now you're figuring out why. I mean, they would have married your parents together as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way I see a lot of these things, it's really just they are doing so many trials and tests. Yes, and it's orchestrated, and they're testing. They're seeing what comes up from that and what they can do what with.
Well, I think it's bigger than that. I don't think it's just testing. It's very specific. They're trying to contaminate my family line. That's what they're trying to do with the evil. Now, I've chucked a big spanner in that work, but they are their own worst enemies. They really are, right? Like with the plasma work I'm doing, I know that certain Freemasonry has a role in all of that, which led us to the discovery we've made, right? And they're also the same people suppressing it. Go figure, right? So they're not truly, you know, law of one. They're not all bad and they're not all good. There's, you know, it makes you scratch your head. It really does. And same with the breeding of my mother and my family, the way that's happened. Hello, I'm here. Look what you've done. You know, like you created your own worst enemy by having God give you a good spirit. Now what are you going to do? And because they're terrified of me. I mean, I had 8 cops on my door yesterday. Like I just got home, I had something to eat, and you know, I won the court case because she didn't show up because I made her perjure herself, and I made that very poignant in the last court episode. And so she didn't show up. I won the case. Now they're furious, and so they've come with all the coppers and all the bullshit to. And I just said, I'm going to upload all that. I have uploaded a little bit of it, but these coppers know exactly what's going on because they are involved. I know that precisely, and I let them know that very precisely yesterday. And
in my opinion, the cops are, I mean, and especially in Australia, when you're looking at stuff that's gone down in Australia over the years as well, I've spoken to literally, I think, hundreds of survivors and overcomers in Australia. And invariably, you're going to find that the police are involved, the churches are involved, the schools are involved.
The politicians are involved.
Politicians are involved. You know, this is, and I mean, and especially because I know Australia has probably got the highest concentration of Freemasons in
It
the
does.
world. That
And guess where else? We're close to a place called Antarctica too.
Well, exactly.
Right?
So you see, look at all the stuff that goes on there, all the testing and stuff that goes on there.
Reptilians.
We're looking at what's that? Reptilians.
The reptilians.
Yeah. But also,
That's
if you just look at Australia, you know, it's. I mean, in my opinion, you know, it's called the land down under. That's not a mistake, right? Because I think it's also a very ancient country. And is that
Tasmania.
your dog with his squeaky toy?
Yeah, she's giving me a hint.
Cute. It's so cute. It's so cute. I love it. So I'm not. Let her carry on. She's part of the program.
She's an angel.
Yeah, I'm sure she's your angel. So, for those of you who watch my shows with Caleb, I often get squeaked when he won't answer questions. He squeaks me out. Anyway, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because when you're just looking at the oh man, Australia, the land down under, there's so much there. I'm pretty sure there's quite a lot of.
Have you ever looked into Tasmania?
Not really. Not really. Actually.
What was Tasmania called originally? Van Diemen's Land.
Which land?
Van Diemen's Land.
Wow. Wow.
And they've got like Freemasonry setups just about in every corner block of the it's fested over there, right? Port Arthur, the massacre was a false flag.
Yes.
To take all our guns off us, right? That was John Howard's doing. That was the reason why he had that bulletproof vest on. That talk he gave, because yeah, I wish someone had of, you know. But that's why they did that, and I know that firsthand through someone I met on an SRA site who came all the way from over East here just to meet me, and I'm glad that she did that, because we got to the bottom of quite a few things. And she went back there, and like the same things happened to her. She knows about the breeding program, and her kids are, and like she's from the Netherlands, but she has German heritage too. There's this girl the other day I met, she's got German heritage. She's got all this sort of shit going on too. And other people that have been commenting on some of the videos I've been uploading, you know, about people having the same problem down in Fremantle and and I knew that would be the case. And everything that's been coming on my YouTube has been divinely put there. I'm not joking. Like, I've had such information overloaded the last couple of years. Like, I'm not looking this stuff up. It's sort of like going, here, look at me. And so I do, you know, and that's whenever I get that inkling, I know better not to question it. I've got to look at it, right? And every time I do, I'm very grateful that I do, because I'm just finding out so much stuff, because they destroyed my education. I had no education. Like, I left school when I was in year 9, and I was uninterested. I never thought I was stupid, but I'm slightly dyslexic. I can't read properly. I get my words get all jumbled up, so I don't like reading. But I thought I was maybe dumb or something because of it, but knowing I wasn't as well, you know, and I've got all this other bullshit happening. It led me to a conclusion. There's just something here I don't quite understand yet, and I'll get to the bottom of it eventually. That's just how I felt about it. And boy, was I right. and with what I saw when I met my stepmother. Now, with psychic abilities, your family, you can get messages from your family and read them really well. But if they don't want to show you stuff, they can hide it really well too. They weren't giving me nothing. And now I understand why, because they understood how acutely sensitive I was. Yeah. So they just had to give me nothing and take me nowhere and pull all the supports. That way they hoped I wouldn't figure it out. But in truth, it just made me more curious about what was going on. Yeah. Because it didn't make any sense, you know? And another fascinating thing is, yeah, well, it's my grandfather is a multi-millionaire, right? He's got properties all over the place, and Mount Lawley, very rich suburbs, and factories and all this sort of stuff. So to leave me in the situation I was in, it made no sense. Like he lived like a bum. He didn't spend any money, and I didn't care about that. But the fact that you're prepared to just throw me to the wolves, I had to wonder why, because it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And so when I was at school, I just studied what I wanted to do, and that was just art, and everything else was just get fucked, leave me alone, because it was just too much. And I now understand. Thank God I didn't care about education, because now we know it's all bullshit.
One moment, sorry. Carry on. Just carry on talking. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just realised it was all bullshit education. I mean, it's not bullshit, but we've been lied to about so many things. And the plasma research that I've been doing, which I was led to by my gift, it has taught me things that I always innately knew, but I didn't have the knowledge to back it up. But I knew just within my own sense of what truth is, what's true and what's not, And this is ongoing, and it's still happening. Do you mind?
Let her carry on. She's part of the program.
And trust me to build a one that you can't destroy, hey?
Exactly.
Wow. And so, like, as horrible as everything has been, right? It's been fascinating. It really has. Like, it's a horror. It's one of those horror rides that you go on the royal shows, and that it just never ends. But,
I mean,
I know one.
On
I know
this
one
show,
thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so one thing I do know, and your friend really needs to understand this: fear. You cannot show them fear. They want you to be scared. Yeah, they want you to be terrified. And if you live your life terrified, they do.
Fear. Mm.
Once you show that you're not scared, it takes the power away from them. And then when you don't want to retaliate with violence, because this is too big for violence, it just is. There's no way that it's just too big. It has to be done with compassion, because a lot of the people that are involved in Satanism are actually victims of it too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. When you look at, I mean, I don't think any child willingly wants to go into a system where they are raped and abused and forced to drink blood and kill animals and stab other babies and all of these things. I mean, that's just not in a child's nature to do that. So they turn, they literally, I mean, we know that only God can create. The Satanists, or the Lucies, as I like to call them, they can only emulate or steal. So they piggyback on what God has already created, and they turn it into their own sordid concoction. So,
hence religion.
Hence
religion.
Yeah, I get it. Totally. Organized religion. I am, and I take a lot of hammering on this planet from on this platform for my opinions on that, but I ain't changing nothing about the way I feel about that. Being a believer is one thing, being a religious nut is another. Because it's like I always say, God does not want religious nuts. God is requiring spiritual fruit. So when we understand the difference between that, then we're on the right track. But
what people need to understand, I think, is one point is, if God wanted us to observe Him, He never would have sent us here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God is a God of love. God requires mercy, not killing and sacrifice in the way that you're going to kill something. I mean, I'm going to give you an example here. One of my Facebook friends has actually passed away now during COVID, but he was a Sangoma. Sangoma is the African medicine man. Okay. And he was showing us when they were doing initiations and stuff. And the next minute, there's photographs of this black cow that has its horns tied with a piece of rope, and they're hauling this thing along, and it is fighting every step of the way. And I'm going, what the hell is this? I knew what it was. And he says to me, well, that was the sacrifice so that so-and-so could now. I said, if you call yourself of God, you would never, ever think that's okay. If an animal chose to sacrifice itself for you, it would willingly go there. It would not go there kicking and screaming and resisting every step of the way. That animal knew where it was going, and it did not want to die. How dare you think that's okay? I look forward to the day that we can actually, elevate something or someone without something or someone dying and giving blood for it. That is gory. It's disgusting. It is not of God. God does not require blood sacrifice of anything. So the more we realize that, the better for us, because that how we treat our animals is a good indicator of where we are at. And that also means, and I know this is a topic that never makes me popular, look at what happens in our slaughterhouses. Because when you go to the slaughterhouse, billions of creatures are killed and tortured and maimed. And I say this a lot. I've researched these places. It is horrific what they do to animals, because you're working with a bunch of psychopaths killing defenseless animals the whole day. You have no choice but to lose your soul when you work in a place like that, because no empathetic person can actually slaughter defenseless animals all day, every day, and be okay going home at night. I'm sorry, that is not in our human nature.
Something tells me that that'll be full of Satanists.
Well, if it's not Satanists, it's people that really have no other job. They have to do that because there is no other job. And they have to leave their soul behind. They've got to come in there and they've got to be completely unfeeling. And they've got to be there completely cold and have absolutely no compassion. So when we're looking at that, and all the meat arrives in our supermarket shelves, all packed in pretty packets. Like, you don't know where that animal was. You don't know what it went through, because that is you consuming dead food. It is dead. It drains your energy. And we've become addicted to it. So we make ourselves believe that we have to eat it. So the more of us who realize, exactly. The more of us who realize that we are, by eating meat in that way, we are actually perpetuating blood sacrifice and blood rituals every single day. And yet so many people will defend their right to eat meat. It's not your right to eat another living being. It really isn't. God has given us enough other food for which we can sustain ourselves. But that's what I'm saying. So the more, sorry, carry on.
Well, funny, like when I was a kid, we'd be having dinner and I'd be giving my mum and dad the 20 questions about the bit of meat that I was about to eat, and how, where it came from and all this sort of stuff. And it's just, I was just thinking about that now, because I used to give them a lot of grief as a little kid about that. And I used to, when they weren't looking, I'd get my meal and I'd hide it behind the fucking picture on the wall.
Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, I grew up on the farm, believe you me. So I'm not saying this from a judgmental perspective. I've eaten my fair share
I
of
understand.
But I'll never forget. I was 4 years old, and my father would never ever allow us girls to watch any slaughtering going on or any hunting going on. Right, that was not for girls. And the one day my parents weren't there, and I insisted that I'm going in and I'm watching them slaughter sheep. I will never forget it. I was 4 years old, and it's like it happened yesterday in my mind. And I'll never forget. After that, I stopped for many years. I would not eat meat, and my mother couldn't understand why. And I was too scared to tell her, because otherwise the laborers were going to get into trouble, because they knew we weren't allowed to go in there. Right. But for me, that was something that it's inconceivable that you want to do that. There is enough other stuff, for us, because it really is. All of it is one. It's everything comes here because it chooses to live. We have life, right? Everything. I mean, if you look at a tick and you're trying to kill a tick, that thing runs. Anything when it fears its life is in danger is going to run away. So we don't have a right to, without intent. I mean, sure, you have a right to defend yourself, and sure, you have a right to mercy kill. If it's a mercy killing, I understand that. And if you're defending yourself or your family, I totally understand that as well. But I don't even know why we got onto this topic, but anyway, it's a topic that, of course,
well, it's actually very relevant, because what's happening to me, right? With all this targeting by this Satanist, they want me to react. They want me to take vengeance and then do an evil deed, attacking one of these evil motherfuckers. But it's not going to make any difference to that person, because they want me to attack them, because then they can use the law to do whatever they want to do and put me in jail and try to turn me gay or whatever their gay agenda crap is, you know. And like I said the other day, I don't care what anyone's sexuality they are. It's about your your humanity, about respecting each other, right? It's like having been born to two heads. No one asked that; it just happened, right? You know. So, like, I know, I'm sure people do choose to be gay and all this sort of stuff, but ever since gay marriage has gone worldwide, this issue has exploded.
LGBTQXRYZ.
Yeah. No, it's behind a lot of the bullshit, right? The Satanism in Hollywood and the whole lot, you know, the men getting dressed up, women, and the new Movember thing that they got going, men wearing lipstick. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's just, I saw it.
Like what? Like, people got no idea that's a satanic ritual. That's a satanic ritual, yeah. And the coppers were talking about me talking about stabbing people. No, copper, I was talking about me being attempted to be stabbed by one of your, satanic freaks on the beach. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know the guy. Like, he knows the guy that was, like, they knew exactly why. I know why they were here, right? They knew everything, and I predicted it a week earlier because I'm psychic, right? And I said to my mom, they're going to try to stab me, and that was before the priest was stabbed too. So I was expecting it. So you can't come and sneak up and stab me when you get someone who's got tattoos from head to toe, who has to paint his whole face orange, and then try to get close enough on the beach with your painted orange face. Doesn't look very sus at all. Right? And I'm just sitting there going, get fucked, because I had my back to him. The radar goes on. Oh, here he is. And then he couldn't get close enough, so he puts his hoodie on, which is even stranger because it's a beautiful hot day. And I'm going, yeah, right. But this will explain why all those coppers are following me around. And it's just a joke, right? And like, I'm well trained to disarm people too, but you fucking with people with knives is a bit dangerous, yeah. But I was expecting it, and I couldn't have been at a better spot on the beach.
I'd like your opinion more. You were talking about these guys putting lipstick on, and wasn't it Movember a little while ago when everyone in November was wearing moustache, but then they would actually, or the guys anyway, women if you can. And then you would donate money to some charity or something. And now what has it become like?
They'll be wearing tampons next.
My brother was always getting involved in Movember, and I was always donating money to his cause. So that, so that's what I'm saying. I know the guys were growing moustaches in November, but now,
and I would bet, I would actually bet every cent that is sent in for these things goes to Satanism organization. I'd almost guarantee it.
Well, I mean, if you look at the WWF, World Wildlife Foundation, was started by Bernard of the Netherlands, who is a well-known, him and Ratzinger were well-known child sacrificers. The two of them were in the same cult, and Ratzinger was abusing girls here in South Africa, him and the Queen. And I'm also going back many years now when they were still youngsters as well. Yeah,
Oprah.
Oprah. Yeah. Oprah's. Yeah, we know about Oprah on this channel. She's just so gross. And and then Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, they started the WWF, and it started also in Africa and stuff with the pandas and what have you. And in Africa, they were saving the rhino and elephant. And isn't it crazy that since then our rhino has pretty much gone extinct? Because they use that as hunting. They've used that as well to create the most horrific wars in Africa. In places like Kenya, the British royals are big time into Kenya. They go there. They've got private airports in Kenya where they bring in big aeroplanes and only white people work there. Kenya is an African country. Okay, it's run by African people, yet there are only whites that work there. And what's so funny about that as well, that's where William proposed to Kate, was in Kenya, actually, which I find interesting because we know by now, I mean, it's like Angelina Jolie in Namibia. She and her child was born in Namibia because her child now has authority over that particular domain, right, in terms of witchcraft. So I'd be interested to know as well. And then what my friend in Kenya was telling me, and he works there, he works with the animals, is that with these big aeroplanes, none of the locals knew what they were bringing in and what they were taking out. So I've known, and then suddenly you're seeing animals that are endemic to Kenya all over in zoos all over the world. And then, of course, I've no doubt they would have been using that to transport our children as well.
Oh yeah. Well, the UFOs, they got their own UFOs, right? They're definitely using UFOs to do that. Okay. Like I said, with this plasma research.
Well, people actually wanted to know about the plasma research. Sorry to interrupt you, because two people have actually asked in the chat about plasma research. But I want to just tell you guys as well that Darren and I are planning to do another show. We're going to be talking more about that as well. But I don't know if you want to just touch on that. I think it's very, very important. Like I saw the show and you're talking about Operation Looking Glass and that. And of course, this plasma research I'm doing. Now, we do know that plasma creates matter, and it's a fractal toroidal moment of plasmoids, which is ball lightning. Ball lightning occurs over ley lines and things like this, and any earthquakes, and it can just pop up, right? You can also create it via radar. So anything floating around that people think that's a spaceship and it's glowing, it's more than likely a psyop, right? But it can be natural ball lightning too, which I'll discuss. We'll discuss way more into this because it's deep. Now, when the plasma creates matter, it feeds its environment. So you'll have the left side of the sacred geometry, which is the masculine side, the destroyer, right? It will destroy whatever matters around. And that's the boundary you see on the ball lightning. That can destroy anything known to man, to God. It is God's toolbox of power. And then the right-hand side of the sacred geometry is the birther, the female side. So whatever has been torn apart and the natural environment that it's in is to what you get at the end of the toroidal fractal moment. So it's very relatable. And if you want to have purer metals, like you can make gold, you just have to get the carbon out, which is done in water, all through cavitation research. And now we can make elements via sound, frequency, and water alone. There is no need to mine, right? At all. The elites know this. They know this. Why do you think the money was decoupled from gold? Because they're making their own. And they're getting rich and they're laughing at you and me going, ha, ha, ha. We got the secret. Not anymore, Freemasons, because we've cracked the code. Fuck you. And you helped us do it by advertising it all over with your buildings, you dickheads. You didn't know, right? Smart asses. Well, to tell us what they're doing in plain sight. That's the thing, that most people have no clue what they're even reading or what it actually means.
No, so a lot of them don't even know. A lot of them have no idea, right? Yeah. It relates to the pyramid. The pyramid is a plasma vacuum vortex energy system that uses the ley lines and it uses a thing called the fifth element or the fifth state of matter, right? Which is basically scalar waves. That's how the energy is transmitted wirelessly. Okay, that's why they're on the ley lines, because it's used as a invisible wire, basically. Okay,
Right.
and this is what's the pyramid can be fixed. They can just put the radioactive granite back in there, which creates a low energy static environment. Like static electricity is all that's required to kick this off, right? And they're trying to make these fusion machines, all this technology and all this billion, that's all a load of bullshit, right? They know they're not going to get fusion. They're using that money for other things, right? It's never going to happen. Just fix the pyramid. We've got a worldwide power grid tomorrow, right? And if you have a look into it, you'll see that one of the smaller pyramids has recently been going under some renovations, and they've been sort of trying to figure out how to recap one of the smaller ones. Now, no one has stated that this is what they're doing, but this was some 2 months after the research was finalized, and we'd all had a discussion to start promoting it and getting it out there. And I see this article come across my Facebook that, oh, they're recapping one of the smaller pyramids. Yeah, because they're trying to figure out how to do it. And a Japanese company was involved, and a Japanese scientist was Matsumoto. He played a crucial role in all of this, uncovering everything. Yeah, and John Hutchinson. Did you see the photos I sent you with the wood transmutating out of metal, just growing in the middle of a piece of metal? Like, you can't get metal, melt it, and pour it around wood. Give you a hint, it'll burn the wood, right? So you can't melt wood and pour it into metal because you'll burn the wood. So, you know, how does that all happen? Well, it's transmutation of elements. The Philosopher's Stone, that's how it happens. And yeah, this is why our research is big, and the people need to know about it, because it's going to change the world, quite literally. And it'll be a reason why they're hassling me as well. And they would have known that I was going to be involved in all of this somehow, with, you know, things like Operation Looking Glass, which they can use plasma to look it forward in time and back in time, because it can have effects on time itself, which is crazy. Yeah, so it's got a lot to do with everything that's been happening. Quite clearly, I got a role to play in this, because it also seems to have uncovered Jewish links to the very knowledge of the pyramid itself in the Rota Square. We'll get more into all that. There are some things on my Facebook already about it. Not Facebook, on my YouTube channel. I can't see you no more. I think we're still connected. So yeah, the plasma research, watch this space. Everyone really needs to pay attention to this and support my channel if they can, because basically it's the only way I can get my information out to the world, because yeah, I've just been targeted so utterly, completely by our government and their friends. So, but that's all right. I'm prepared to wade through the deep waters as long as I get my voice heard at the end of the day. And if it costs me my life, so be it. I'm prepared to sacrifice my life for our children, that's for sure.
Hi.
I don't think twice about that. That's right.
Isn't that interesting? When I get kicked out of the internet, that was quite insane. We'll find that a bit, yeah. When we talk about these topics, they'll try and kick us off. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I don't know if anyone heard anything I said just then. I've got no idea. So I'll say it again. So the plasma research is crucial. People taking notice of this. If they can support my channel, subscribe and all that. It's not about money for me. It's just about getting this out to people.
What's your channel's name? Let me just put it in, and I'll put it into the description as well.
Yeah, At a Distance 70. At a Distance 70.
At all one word.
Yeah.
at a distance. 70 or 17?
70.
70. Is that your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
YouTube.
I'm going to combine all the corruption, because that's my role to play and show everyone the corruption that's directly linked to the plasma hidden knowledge, right? Because
Fantastic.
the elites, they've known this for 4,000 years, right? This is all a big mirage. The one world government has always been here, and they're secretly working together behind the scenes, and the wars are just a satanic ritual. That's what's happening. People got no idea. They're too busy in their camp, you know?
Yeah.
Outrage, 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 outrage. Meanwhile, our God's real. Our God's real. Oh my God, you know?
Exactly. That's the whole thing. They've used religion. I mean, if you go back to Tartaria, you know, and you just look at the technology and stuff they were using then before the Great Flood, you know, we were pretty much all connected, you know, that we,
well,
you know,
that is plasma technology.
Exactly.
That's plasma.
And
that is plasma technology. Yeah.
So since then, they've taken that away from us. They've destroyed that, and they've turned those symbolisms and stuff into religious symbology, which is the biggest lot of crap ever. So,
well, actually, no, it's related. There are relations there. So when people lie, elements of truth must be encased in the lie. Right? That's when it works best.
Incorporated.
Sacred geometry. I don't know if you know much about sacred geometry.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, I'll bring up a picture just so people at home can have an idea. Otherwise, they're just going to be lost. Okay, so sacred geometry, the Fibonacci tree, you know, the way things grow, and we see these patterns in nature. And especially when it comes to the environment itself. Like, can you see that?
Yeah.
That's plasma, ball lightning, that's gone out of its electronic phase and it's recrystallized. So both sides, so that's a left side and a right side of the sacred geometry. One side is destroying matter, and then it's passing it through a wormhole to the female side, where at its culmination point, it will explode and birth out new matter. Right? And then it has access to the 0 point energy field where it will self-feed itself. And this is directly related to the machine I was telling you about, the thunderstorm generator, which once at operational temperature, it will use plasmoids to self-feed itself, saving your fuel, and it'll just run and run and run. And it's also got an area of temperature of minus 50 degrees Celsius, and there's an invisible force field. On the same piece of metal, you'll have plus 300 degrees Celsius. And the scientists are sitting there with a thermometer going, you know, what's going on here? You know? And this is where Jesus comes into it all, right? Jesus, well, look at it, was a scientist.
Well, I think Jesus was a particularly smart human, that's for sure.
He was a scientist. That's who we think he was. He was a scientist, and they gave him that name very particularly, right? Because in the sacred geometry, there's two small parts of it. It's called the crucible, right? It's the very smallest element known to man by the look of it. The smallest part you can get, and it's completely. It's so deep. Did you see the picture where I said, "Can you see the cross"? Did you see that picture? I sent you a picture, and it's got, "Can you see the cross" on it?
Okay, I haven't really looked yet. I thought those are for next week. Sorry.
No, you have a look now. I mean, bring it up. It's all relevant because it helps to get people to understand. So here's the sacred geometry. Here we go. Okay, so. That stele is telling us how plasma creates matter and how it's related to space travel. Okay? That stele has got it's got a screw going into the ground.
Yeah.
And they got their foot on it. That's representing when you have this field around you, you have gravity, like in Star Trek. Okay, and then you've got these areas here and there. The left-hand side is the male side that breaks matter. The right-hand side is the female side that births new matter. Right? Now, in this reaction, you can see this all very, very clearly. And the testing that was done from the thunderstorm generator spheres that are only 8 years old, Bob had it tested for C14 testing, and it came back as 33,000 years old.
Wow.
How? Right? Because this is the metal sphere that's had these micro ball lightning structures give birth to new elements on top of and embedded into the metal, right? Now, wherever this reaction takes place, the scalar waves actually will embed little patterns, and they look just like a cross, because it is a cross.
Wow.
Quite literally, yeah. Now, this has got a lot to do with the hijacking of religion, very, very specifically. Has a lot to do with it. And if you turn that up on its side, you see the cross? There's another picture I sent you that's got better representation of it. So that's where the cross comes from. Not necessarily a person being crucified, although that could have happened too. I'm not 100% sure about all that, right? But this has got to do with the Rotus square. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Well, that's Jewish knowledge from their ancient texts. Okay, and they were kicked out of Israel, out of Egypt, weren't they? And we now are certain that the Ark of the Covenant is a thing, right? It has monopole structures, which basically will repel water. So if you needed to walk across a certain seabed and you got the Ark of the Covenant, water's going to go, oh, get out of the way, and let you walk straight through it, quite literally. Okay, and if you're a UFO and you're hanging around and you don't want people to know, but then there's a radar image, and you look at the radar from space, and there's a big black part, they were discussed in New Africa.
Yeah.
It looked like a great big black blob. Well, that's more than likely a mothership underwater, and it's just interfering with the electric, the electrical capacity to be seen, because it just, the UFOs, how it says that it takes the energy from everything and everything shuts down. Well, that's true, because it's the monopoles sucking all the energy up, because they don't need, well, when they're traveling, they're absorbing energy from space and time from around it. So they don't really need to have a ongoing energy source sort of thing. They can just use, it's so deep, it's so profound. And we see this, the scalar waves, basically they have access to the fifth dimension. So these UFOs have found a way to put that into a technology, and because it can go through anything and can destroy anything, and it can be turned into a weapon. You can vaporize a planet like the Death Star, right? So the sci-fi reality of our world is true. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. No doubt. I agree.
And this, the tractor beam, how they can suck people up, all these things are possible. Teleportation, invisibility, cloaking, everything.
It is possible, everything. Yeah. And I think these gifts were given to us before the fall, the great fall, so to speak. We all had these. We were, this was available to us. This is how we were operating.
We still do. We still do.
But I also believe that in many instances it was abused. and
yeah,
used and used
The,
for
the
purposes
elites
that
are
it
using it against us. Yeah.
yes.
The
So that's
elites have.
why it's kind
So with
carry
this plasma research, okay, Bob started this company in 2012, and it was just to help people with inventions to get it tested, right? And then the thunderstorm generator come along and just took over everything because it's led to everything. And what happened in 2012? There was meant to be a prophecy, wasn't there?
yeah.
Well, there was a prophecy. Yeah, that prophecy is about plasma.
Yeah.
And it's written in two places in the world, in Egypt and in South America, the Aztec. And it's basically when this knowledge is found the right way. And everyone involved is volunteering their time and effort, right? So there's no question it's been found the right way.
Yeah.
And there's other synchronicities here that are incredible. Freemasonry, Satanism are very linked. And I'm not going to mention who they're linked to. I will privately, but I'll have to keep that under wraps until they speak on their own behalf, right? But certain people have this directly in their life like I do. And I have another friend, Tom, who's been inventing the Tesla side of the equation, who has this technology just about ready to go. The Daily Planet Club. You join for what, $1 a week. That's just a fixed maintenance and all once it's running. And then you build a machine for $100 and you plug into the ground, and then you can bypass all the corruption. You can just get power that way. All right, that's what's coming. And he met me not knowing I was doing plasma research on my own, trying to figure out how my psychic abilities work, because I'd just been through my whole entire life coming through from what I saw as a kid, right? So I'm sitting here going, right, I've been umming and ahhing about this for years, and now everything's happened just like I fucking saw. So clearly I got to look into this, right? And so where do I start? God only knows, right? And whoop, I'm taken to plasma. I don't even know how all that happened. It just happened, right? And the synchronicities here are just bonkers. And then I find out, oh, that's right. Oh, I'm related to the name Solomon. Oh, no, don't tell me. Oh, yeah, tell me. It goes all the way back.
Exactly.
I'm going, no way. So I'm related to King Solomon, about finding the biggest history known to man. Probably the last person to know this was King Solomon.
Wow.
Just saying, right? That's probably the last person that had access to this technology. Fucking what? What the hell's going on here? No, I'm not going to turn into God, right? But this has got something deep to do with my own blood, man. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. That's all I can say. It's
well,
wow.
I think and nothing is by accident. And
yeah.
There's a lot to be revealed, yeah. But I think what we'll do then, we'll use it we'll do another show on that.
I think we'll have to do like once a week shows ongoing, because this is going to be knowledge that is constantly uncovering. This is all cutting edge, right? This is brand new physics, brand new mathematics. So brand new, it's ancient, okay? From the ancient Sanskrit text. This is where it comes from. Ancient Sanskrit.
That's being brought up again. That's why I say, you know.
They had more advanced technology back then than we ever dreamed of, right? And not only was it advanced, it was harmonious with nature as well. Because it is God's toolbox of power. This is God's laws that can be used for good and evil. Hence the light and the dark. All right, and I got banned from some certain satanic ritual abuse people from even suggesting that, but you know, just quietly, I think that they're compromised. But you know, that's my own opinion. Hence why they banned me. But you know, the rules of nature are the rules of nature, which is God's rules, right? So what you do with God's rules and what you do with it, and yeah, the dark can use it too, but the dark can only use it to destroy. It can't be used to create.
Yeah, the dark can't create. The dark just emulates and they
No.
steal. Only God creates. So, you know.
Why do you think they stole this knowledge?
Well, exactly, because they wanted to use it for their own nefarious purposes and gain control.
And this is why we live. That's right. And this is why we live in the world we do. Exactly. And this is why I have no fear at all anymore, because I know that this was meant to be. There's no doubt about it. All of us
is not have fear, because the minute you fear, you know, the acronym for fear, in my opinion, is false evidence appearing real. The minute you fear, that's their juicy chocolate. They love the fear vibration. That's why they do so much to create that for us. But the minute we rise above that, they can't touch us. Then we kind of like working on a whole different frequency. And then we are then able to co-create with each other and not those dodgy, dark ones.
And you got to see this firsthand when I upload some of the videos that the police come to my door, right? Like as soon as I let them know that, you know, I'm not planning on hurting anyone, that you can see them just deflate, like their power's being taken away from them, you know, because they've murdered my own son. You know, they stole my son from me and they sacrificed him and all sorts of shit. And they expecting me to take vengeance. Yeah, but I have to be killing every person I met because I'm surrounded by Satanists, literally. You know, like, so that I know that that's what they want, right? So I'm not giving it to them, and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're trying to stab me and shit, and set me up with all this nonsense, and you know, and like any crimes that they allege that I've done, I can actually prove beyond doubt that I was innocent, right? I mean, but what's good evidence if you're not allowed to show it in court? Because that's what happened. Like, I can still prove it.
Still control it, but you know the time for all that is coming to an end as well.
That's right. I'm not even right. I got that evidence to show people like you, to show people in the community, because this is where it needs to come from. There's more of us than there are of them, and
much more.
And just because you've been through evil does not allow you to just say, "Oh well, can't beat them, join them," right?
Yeah,
because that's what they want me to do. That's what they've been trying to do the whole time. I had to get involved in organized crime. I mean, to get involved in organized crime so I could be safe from the police force. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? Right? Like, that's what I said to them on the door yesterday. It's like, guys, huh? You know, like, and you know, like, and I'm trying to keep safe from my own family who are behind protecting this filth. Yeah. Right? And no, I'm not joining you. You can get fucked, you know. Like, no, I'm here for the kids, not to eat them, right? Fucking freaks. They're crazy.
To save them and to create and turn them into beautiful beings as they grow older.
They are necessary, though. As much as I hate what they do, they are necessary for us to be forced into the light. That's their role.
I so agree. Because they show us exactly what we don't want to be. And that's
exactly
my point.
That's so true.
You're going to know who you're not as well. So they show
and
us
like what I said, my human doesn't like that at all. But I understand that that's part of it. They will end up where we are eventually, or not. But
exactly.
They're on their journey. I've got the benefit of having previous lives. There's no doubt about that. I know too much, and I didn't go to school, so how the fuck do I know all this? And it's not just from learning from my life. This is stuff I've just known, in every fiber of my being.
You know, totally get that. You're born with it. It's in your inner being.
Oh yeah,
it's in your
yeah. And this is why they knew. You know, like they knew I was good. You know, they tried to turn me, but they just can't. And like this girl that was involved with stealing my baby, she made a comment before she, acknowledged all that. Oh, you're fearless or some shit like this, And I knew what she meant. That they've been trying to convert me to the dark side, right? Trying to turn me into a pedophile by MK mind ultra, traumatic programming and all that sort of stuff. But they don't understand that I was already psychic. This is not psychic programming. This is embedded. This is just who I am, and it goes.
It's in your being.
Well, the mystical religions are more accurate than any. Mysticism has that's where I see the accuracy, right? And the Jewish female channelers, I mean, then Solomon, and then the German side, Solomon again. I thought maybe I was Abel reborn, but no, I don't think so. It's Solomon. I think it has to be. It has to be. It just has to be because because they're scared of me. These Satanists, and I don't even have my connections to the stuff that I was involved with unwillingly, really, but willingly, because I knew if I didn't, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Right. If I didn't go and do certain things, I wouldn't be alive right now. Right. And by me doing certain things, I had no guarantee I was going to get certain benefits, but I sort of innately knew I would. That's why I did it, and I've created a god awful problem for them. I think the big one, real big one, and they can do whatever they like to me. They can take whatever. Like I said yesterday, they can't take who I am. No way. And they killed me once. I popped back up. I shouldn't be here. My dog died later on that night. And, then I find out this dog was born 3 hours after my other dog died, and she's the total opposite. She's to keep me calm. My other one was to build me up, and I made a promise to my first dog that I'd be there through thick and thin, and I was. And same with this one. And I've had to learn to love by my pet. I didn't get that from my family, so I got a pet, and my pet taught me what's required to love. Right now,
absolutely.
So it doesn't matter what your environment is. You can create your own environment, your own reality, but you need to take chances on getting a pet. I had no business getting a pet. I had no stability, but by me getting the pet, making that promise, I was self-sabotaging my self-destructive curse, I would say, by knowing that I know what it's like to have nothing and be lied to, and I wasn't going to do that to my animal, so I made sure that we were it didn't matter as long as we were together, and that was what I needed to do. And my mum would make a comment like, "Oh, when you come back to Perth, you can't get a place. You have to get rid of your kid, your dog." I said, "What, like how you got rid of me?" I said, "No, it's not happening." And like the synchronicities now, I just look back and go, thank God I just didn't throw in the towel. I've never ever been suicidal or anything like that. I've been down, and questioning and all this sort of stuff. But you don't know what the light's going to be unless you've lived in that darkness.
Exactly.
And boy, they pushed me so far down. There was only one way I could go, right? So
that was up.
And that was up, and I had to go down there. I had to jump into the depths of the bowels of hell in order to see who I'm dealing with. And I'm so glad I did. Even though I've been involved in drugs and all this shit, I've never been evil to people. I've never, done evil things for no reason, and never wanted to do anything evil, even to evil people that deserve. There's even a bigger picture trying to trap me in something that I don't want to be trapped in, And
exactly.
And I didn't know that. I just knew that innately. And that there's something divine going on there, because if anyone had a reason to just give up, it would have been me. As long as, and all the other kids that have been through shit like me. I fortunately missed the worst of the abuse. Fortunately, I missed the worst of it, right? Yeah. But the psychological abuse that was done was probably more. I would have rather someone physically abused me than fucking with my head like they have, right? But that's also been a great strength, because I know their tactics. Like, innately, like so deeply. I see what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter. Hello, Elon. He started following me after 2 days of being on Twitter.
Right.
He was following me, all right? Especially after the SATAN word was mentioned a few times, and certain ex-presidents. Well, you know, take your pick. But you know, there was one recently of German heritage I won't talk about. That's got a lot to do with all this.
I'm sure we'll get through that in due course in the next couple of weeks, anyway.
But they're all the same. They just do their evil different ways. That's all.
Exactly.
It doesn't make a difference.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just I'd prefer my evil done like this and not like that. That's all that is, right?
Exactly.
Then they're all, oh my God's real. Oh, Trump God, oh, Biden God. Oh, fuck me. You know? Oh my God.
Okay, wow. Okay, Darren, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's been in the chat as well. Really appreciate you guys. We'll have Darren back again. We will be talking more about some of the stuff he's doing and what have you. So, in the meantime...
Oh, yeah, so I did tip of the iceberg here. This is going to really get
yeah, exactly.
Big.
Exactly. Oh, okay. So I shall see you guys later. I've got Caleb on hopefully this evening as well. So I'll catch all your usual suspects then. And in the meantime, God bless you. Take good care of you and have a fantastic, fantastic day. I know you Americans are just starting your day. Your Aussies, you should be all in bed by now.
Not quite.
And us sappers, we're in the middle of the day, yeah. Cool, everybody. Take good care. God bless. We'll see you soon.